If you're living on one income, sometimes life can be so hard. So in this video, we're going to be talking about some tips and tricks that you can apply to your life to ensure that if you're living on one income, it can become such a breeze. What's up? I'm Brandon Young, and on this channel, I teach you how to make, save, and invest money. So if you're new here, consider subscribing, and don't forget to hit that bell notification so you don't miss a beat. Now, depending on your relationship, you may have somebody that goes out and works on a daily basis, the other person stays home. I don't know what your case may be, but you typically have one income coming in. So the first tip I want to lead to you is try to spend time and not money. Typically, we correlate spending large amounts of money with having a good time, which is not always the case. Spending more time with somebody may just make them happy just as much as you spending a large bill on them. So just be very mindful and aware of that. Next tip is to say no more often. Oftentimes when we don't say no, we end up spending money. But when you're trying to live frugal, when you're trying to save money, you have to learn how to say no to certain things, because oftentimes it may be out of budget and it might just be things that you ultimately didn't prepare to pay for. So saying no will oftentimes help. Next tip is to try a cash-all diet. When you alleviate yourselves from using credit cards and stuff and just using cash, you oftentimes can track the cash way better. So having a cash-all diet is oftentimes the best way to go. Next tip is to plan a staycation. Oftentimes when we're getting some time off from work or from school, we often like, oh man, we gotta go out, we gotta go to Mexico, we gotta go to Hawaii. Just plan some time. Take some time to stay at home. You can oftentimes find a lot of activities to do in your area where you're not spending that much money. Next tip is to make your own food. In a world where Uber Eats is just king and these online delivery apps are king, try to go to the supermarket, make your own food. You're gonna save so much. Next one is to declutter your home. So you'll oftentimes have a lot of clutter in your house. Try to find that clutter, find things that you're not using, sell them and make some money back. Next tip is to stop eating out entirely. Don't go out for anything. No food, no Red Lobster, no Chuck E. Cheese, I don't know where you go out to, but none of that. Cut it out completely. Now, next tip is to implement a no spend weekend. So the 2 days that we oftentimes spend the most money are on Fridays and Saturdays. And if you can find some type of way to not spend any type of money on these Fridays, Saturdays, even Sundays, you're gonna save so much money, especially being on that one income. Saving as much money as possible is going to be very helpful. Next tip is to cancel all monthly subscriptions. If you have any monthly subscriptions that you are not using, or any of them that are just deemed unusable anymore, or you just don't find a use for them anymore, cancel them. You're wasting so much money, especially being on that one income. Every dime counts. Next tip is to use containers rather than plastic bags. Plastic bags are very expensive. If you can use a container, it's reusable. You can keep using it over and over again. Next tip is to cut your own hair. You're gonna save so much money from cutting your own hair. Me personally, I've tried it for the last month or so, and I've saved a lot of money, especially if you're somebody who goes there every week, spending $20 to $25 a week. You're oftentimes spending $75 to $100 a month, which correlates to $1,200 per year on just haircuts alone. You saving that is a $1,200 that you can put towards something else. Next thing is to cut cable. We live in a time where Netflix, Hulu, all these other online subscription streaming services, we got Disney Plus. There are so many services out there, so you don't need to be paying for expensive cable bills. Upwards of $175 to $300 people are paying for these cable bills, and I don't understand why. Stick to your Netflix, which is a calm 10 to 15 bucks a month, or choose 2 or 3 subscription services. You're still going to be paying way less than you would if you had a cable bill. Next tip is, if it's broke, YouTube it. Oftentimes when things are broken, we go and hire somebody to fix it. No, YouTube is a search engine just as Google is. If you have an issue, you can oftentimes find the solution on YouTube and do it yourself and save so much money, especially if you're on one income. Next tip is to eat less meat. When it comes to meals, the meat of the meals is oftentimes the most expensive part of that meal. So in turn, cutting out meat completely, eating veggies or eating other substitutes, oftentimes is going to save you a lot more money because meat, the most expensive part of the meal. Next thing is to build an emergency fund. I oftentimes say this so much. When you have an emergency and you have a fund that can cover that emergency, you're oftentimes going to end up in a better position than somebody who just has an emergency. They're like, oh, where do I find this money to actually fix this issue? Because this is money that you aren't expecting to use. But when you have an emergency fund in place, this is oftentimes money you've saved, you've allocated for this particular issue that has occurred. So have an emergency fund in place. It's going to save you so much money. Next tip is to downsize your home. I've talked to people that have 2 kids and they're married with one other person that has 4 people and they have a 4 to 5 bedroom house. Why? You don't need that much space. You're oftentimes spending so much more on your mortgage when you can simply downsize your home, save a lot more money yearly than having this big home with some of the rooms not being utilized. Next tip is to regift. When you regift, you're often getting these gifts that you don't use. They're in your home. You're not finding any type of use for it. Repackage it, regift it, give it to somebody that can find some type of use for it. When you do this, you're oftentimes killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're regifting, you're giving a gift to somebody, but you're decluttering your home. You're getting rid of all this clutter and things that you don't need within your house. I know it's sometimes viewed as bad to regift. When you want to give a gift to somebody, you should oftentimes buy new things, but regifting is not a bad solution. This is a really good one. And now this tip is to switch to a non-fee bank. We live in a time where online banks are very prevalent. We have Chime, we have Ally, we have all these different types of banks that are online. They offer no fees. They don't take this checking fee, this savings fee out every single month. Utilize these banks because you're saving so much money. You're basically giving the bank money for holding your money. That doesn't make any sense to me. My last and final tip is to eat seasonal food. Oftentimes when you have seasonal food, you're gonna be paying the cheapest amount of money for this food. When you eat food out of season, you'll find that these foods are oftentimes doubled or tripled in price. Eat seasonal food. You're gonna save so much money. And with these tips, you'll be on your very way to living on one income nicely, securely, and in a better fashion. If you found these tips helpful, be sure to go and like this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Peace.